Hello everyone, this is Shadow the Impure, back again after a long hiatus. I know, I am a shitty YouTuber. I'm a shitty streamer. I don't give a fuck. So, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to do a leisurely flight here in the Midwest. We're going to be taking off from Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Airport, and we are going to be flying to Indianapolis International Airport. And we're going to be using it with doing it with the help of Pilot to ATC. And as a result, I'm having to use a flight plan that Microsoft Flight Simulator has no idea what to do with. So I'm going to have to manually input my flight plan. So this first part might be a bit tedious. If you don't like it, fuck it. But this is also a good way for people who've never seen this before to actually see how to input a flight plan into a G1000. So we're going to start at KAZO, enter, and our next waypoint is Foxtrot Whiskey Alpha. So, Foxtrot Whiskey Alpha. And it's not accepting that waypoint. I'm trying. Oh, there it is. It just took a minute. Okay, so the next waypoint is going to be WGNER. And then we'll go to the next waypoint, which is MIE. There it goes. We're going to go waypoint MIE. Track 197, good. Next up is going to be PENDS. And we're going to go to Clang. With a C. Go Clang. And then Todd PT. That's the wrong waypoint. So we go back and modify this. Interesting, it's not giving me that option. clear that out just to clean that up. We're going to be doing a low altitude flight because we're going to be in a Cessna, so we're going to have a planned cruising altitude of 6,000 feet. Alright. Alright, so it won't let me do TOD for some reason. So we'll just go to the next one, which is RACEN. To RACEN, to DRVVR. To CKERD. To KIND, which is going to be where we get our approach. We're going to select our approach. Oh, I forgot to add the... Well, I'm a dumbass. I forgot to add my destination airport at the end of the flight plan. Okay. Indianapolis International Airport. So now I should be able to select my approach to Indianapolis, and we are going to be doing RNAV to runway 23 right. With Yankee via the Clang transition. And we are going to load it. So I check my flight plan. Good, there's my RNAV approach. Via Clang, Racing. Depends kind. It's kind of taking me a different route. Yeah, that looks right. Toggle off the flight plan. We'll go ahead and reset our view. Alright, we are engines off. I am on with clearance, but first let's go ahead and get the weather. I'm going to go ahead and transfer over to ATIS.
Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Information Papa.
Okay,
1853 Zulu winds are 243 at 16 knots gusting to 20 knots. Visibility 10 miles. 8,500 overcast. Temperature 12, dew point -7. Current altimeter is 3012. Arriving and departing runway 17. Kalamazoo Battle Creek International Information Papa. 1853 Zulu winds are 243 at 16 knots gusting to 20 knots. Visibility 10 miles. 8,500 overcast. Temperature 12, dew point -7. Current altimeter is 3012. Arriving and departing runway 17.
We'll go ahead and transfer. We'll go ahead and transfer back to clearance because I got the information that I need. Let's go ahead and set the baro, which is going to be 3012. There we go. And I will call up clearance. Clearance Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready for engine start.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact ground on 121.9er for engine start. Enjoy.
Ground on 121.9er, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. So we'll go ahead and do 121.9er for ground. Kalamazoo ground, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready for engine start.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima engine start approved.
Alright, so we'll do that. Zoom down a little bit to get to my key. Go ahead and start the engine. While I'm thinking about it, we'll go ahead and set my CDI to GPS mode, which is what I'm going to be using for this flight. And what we'll do then, we'll go ahead and transfer back to clearance. Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima with Papa, ready to copy IFR. Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima with Papa, ready to copy IFR.
2 Delta Lima, this is Kalamazoo clearance delivery on 121.75. Please repeat your request.
Kalamazoo clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to copy IFR.
2 Delta Lima, you were garbled. Please say again.
Okay, sometimes this can be a bit weird. Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to copy IFR.
2 Delta Lima, you were garbled. Please say again.
Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to copy IFR.
2 Delta Lima, you were garbled. Please say again.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta hate the, you gotta hate Pilot ATC when it's having a hard time understanding you. Clearance, ready to copy IFR, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
2 Delta Lima, you were garbled. Please say again.
Wow, it is reading garbage. Hang on, let me turn off my fan. Maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll help ATC to actually understand what the fuck I'm saying. Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to copy IFR.
2 Delta Lima, you were garbled. Please say again.
Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to copy IFR.
2 Delta Lima, say again, your request is cleared to Kilo India November Delta as filed. Expect departure runway 17. Climb and maintain 5,000 feet. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.2 squawk 6165.
Clearance, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Climb and maintain 5,000 feet. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.2 squawk 6165. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Cleared to Kilo India November Delta as file. Climb and maintain 5,000 feet. Expect higher clearances 2 minutes after departure. Departure on 119.2 squawk 6165. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima read back correct. Altimeter 3012 contact ground on 121.9er when ready to taxi. Have a good afternoon.
Ground on
Aircraft calling clearance delivery, say again with your call sign.
ground on 121.9er. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. So we'll go ahead and transfer to ground. I'm going to be a little bit cheaty here. I'm going to go to external view just for the pushback. Because pushback in internal view can be kind of a bitch sometimes. Kalamazoo ground, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to taxi IFR. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to taxi IFR. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to taxi IFR. And for some reason, it's not picking up my push to talk. Fucking lovely. I know I'm on ground, 121.9er. Yep, that's good. Ground, Kalamazoo.
Aircraft calling ground.
There we go. Now I'm getting a fucking response out of ground. Kalamazoo ground, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready to taxi IFR. Kalamazoo ground, ready to taxi IFR. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima taxi to runway 17 via taxiways Delta, Charlie, hold short runway 17 contact tower on 118.3.
Taxi to runway 17 via taxiway Delta, Charlie, hold short runway 17 contact tower on 118.3. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Alright, so we'll go 11830. So we have the tower tuned as our standby because we're not going to need clearance anymore.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact tower on 118.3.
Contact tower on 118.3. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. I'm just looking at my approach plate, on my airport plate here, so I know what the fuck I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in. I'm going to actually use the... Alright. I'll bring up the in-game. We're going to go ground service, tune ground. We're going to request pushback because I can't request that in the fucking thing because the sim won't pick it up. This is about the only time I'm going to use the in-game ATC. We're going to steer to the left. I've already disengaged the parking brake because I got to go this way to get out. As you can tell, I've actually muted all of the in-game ATC sounds just to keep them from getting in the way of pilot ATC's sounds. And stop pushback, hit my brakes, hit the parking brake here. That's the end of pushback, parking brakes enabled. Close the ATC there, disengage the parking brake. We're going to head back into the cockpit. Close this, we'll zoom back a little bit. Okay, we'll get ready for taxi. Just get us lined up on the taxiway. Hit the parking brake. Bring up the airport map real quick, because I do not have the fucking taxiways completely memorized. So we'll head into Sky Vector on my phone here. Bring up KAZO. And we'll bring up the airport diagram. Wanted me to do Delta Charlie. So I'll go down. We'll zoom in. See where I am on the diagram here. Okay, puts me there, and it wanted me to use Delta Charlie. That's an interesting maneuver. Delta crosses that runway. Okay. And it wants me to... It didn't even give me instructions to hold short of that runway. It just told me to hold short of runway 17. Okay, so it's going to be Delta Charlie just careening across the airfield, because here's Delta, and then there's Charlie. Ooh, and there is somebody coming in to fucking land here. I guess either they're landing or they're flying over, one of the two. But yeah, so it wants me to go Delta, across this runway to here, and up Charlie to runway 17. Okay, that I can do. So we'll recenter our camera, go back up, zoom out. That's the view that I prefer. Okay, so I'll close the approach plate and we will begin taxi. Taxi speed limit is 20 knots, so I'm trying to keep under that. I'm not a master of FCC regulation, so if I fuck shit up, I fuck shit up. It fucking happens, you know? Alright, so we will turn out onto Delta. We're going to cross 927. We're at 14 knots. Looks like we're clear. "15 knots, good speed. We're clear." Turn onto the taxiway here. Give us a little bit more pepper because we're only going at 13 knots. Try to expedite the taxi a little bit. Give it a little break because I was going a little bit too fast.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact tower on 118.3, enjoy your afternoon.
Get a brakes. We're holding short. Contact tower on 118.3, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. So we're on. Switch over to tower. Kalamazoo Tower, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, ready for takeoff.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima winds are 243 at 15 knots, altimeter 3010 cleared for takeoff. Runway 17 squawk 6165, maintain runway heading until above 1,900 feet, then turn heading 203 to intercept course.
Forgot to set my transponder. So my transponder code is squawk. $6165. Okay. Winds are 243 at 15 knots, altimeter 3010, cleared for takeoff. Runway 17 squawk 6165, maintain runway heading until above 1,900 feet, then turn heading 203 to intercept course.
Kalamazoo Battle Creek International winds are 243 at 15 knots, altimeter is 3010 at Kalamazoo Battle Creek International, squawk 6165.
Winds are 243 at 15 knots, altimeter is 3010 at Kalamazoo Battle Creek International, squawk 6165.
Kalamazoo Battle Creek International winds are 243 at 15 knots, altimeter is 3010 at Kalamazoo Battle Creek International, squawk 6165.
All right, let's go ahead and roll out onto the runway. Okay, we'll get our brakes on. We'll go ahead and synchronize our heading bug. We'll go ahead and get the flight director turned on. We're going to prime heading mode. Wait for the flight director to get itself figured out. Alright, so it wants me to turn at heading 203. That is 203 at 19,000. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and parking brake off, throttle up. Get back on the center line. Go ahead and turn, roll. So I'm going to go ahead and engage the autopilot. And we want to turn heading 203 at 1900 feet. We're approaching 19,000 feet. So we're going to roll over to heading 203. To intercept our course. And as we intercept the course, we're going to go ahead and turn on nav to lock us onto that course.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, contact Kalamazoo departure on 119.2. Have a good one.
Departure on 119.2, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Kalamazoo departure, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 2900 feet through to 5,000.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good afternoon. Squawk 6165.
Squawk 6165, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Squawk 6165, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. I am squawking 6165. Kalamazoo departure, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 3,400 feet through to 5,000.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, squawk 6165.
I am squawking 6165. Let me go ahead and go 6165. Squawk 6165, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Kalamazoo departure, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 3,900 feet to 5,000.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, squawk 6165.
And it's not even recognizing the fact that I am squawking 6165. The transponder in the software is good. We'll go active.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, radar contact.
There we go, they found me. Kalamazoo departure, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 4,200 feet through to 5,000.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, radar contact.
Yeah, sometimes it works when it wants to work. It's a little annoying, but what can you do? I'm going to go ahead and drop the volume a little bit on that because the aircraft noise looks like it's getting a little bit loud in OBS. I'm approaching 5,000 feet, so I'm getting ready to engage an altitude hold. We'll go ahead and...
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, climb and maintain 6,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Alright, so we're going through to 6,000, which is going to be our cruising altitude for today. Because I am in a tiny Cessna and I am not retarded. It's a bit windy. I'm not going too high because I don't want to risk icing, because this aircraft has no way to deal with that shit. Speaking of icing, I did not turn any of my fucking lights on. Beacon, nav, strobe, turn on my pitot. I am a fucktard today. I apologize for that. Alright, we're at 5-3. We'll head over here. We'll zoom out a bit because we need the wider view, not the narrow view, because we've got a good distance to go. There we go. We're at 5,600, heading through to 6,000. We'll go ahead and synchronize the heading bug. We are at 5,900 feet. Hit the altitude hold for 6,000.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, climb and maintain 6,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Let's get some speed going here.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, expedite climb to 6,000 feet.
I am at 6,000 feet. What the hell are you on? Oh, I need to change my altimeter, I think. I'm too high for that. So we need to go to standard pressure, which is 2992. And then I will continue climbing. I forgot to set the standard barometric pressure, so I was a couple hundred feet too low. It's a pretty day to fly. We'll go back to default. We're getting a good speed. We're at 6,000 feet, cruising toward Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is going to be a really chill stream, so buckle up, people. We're in for some chill. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll bring up the airport diagram for Indianapolis while I'm waiting, so I can review that. I'm coming in on 23 right.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, contact Cleveland Center on 120.45. Have a good afternoon.
Cleveland Center on 120.45. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. So we'll go 12045. Cleveland Center, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 6,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good afternoon. Radar contact.
Excellent. Center found me without any issues, no muss, no fuss. I like it when things go smoothly like they're fucking supposed to. This is not, by the way, going to be a short flight. We got about another hour and 10 minutes or so estimated on the flight, and we've already been en route about 26 minutes. I noticed that there's nobody in chat, so That's pretty normal for my stream. I am recording this for YouTube. So, hey, might as well stream it at the same time. We are recording and streaming at a glorious 60 FPS at 1080p because I don't believe in buying a fucking 4K monitor. There is no face cam because nobody wants to see my ugly fat face. If that changes, let me know. I can make something happen. We're going at 116 knots. Let's get a little more throttle in to get some better airspeed. God, I'm trying to stay out of overspeed, but I do want to get there in an expeditious fashion. Yeah, you see those clouds? Those clouds right there are the reason I did not want to have my flight level above about 6,000 feet. If I go through those, my aircraft will ice over, I will stall, and I will die. A horrible, horrible, painful death, might I add. So yeah, that is to be fucking avoided. Drop my throttle a little bit. For anybody who's wondering, as far as flight controls go, I am using a Thrustmaster X1000 HOTAS setup because I don't want to fork out the money for a yoke, and a HOTAS is way easier to fly with than a fucking Xbox controller. I get much better fine control. You understand. Now, if I get more serious about this in the future, I might eventually invest in a proper yoke setup, but in the meantime, I'm happy with my fucking $90 HOTAS. Okay, we'll go ahead and lean out the mixture a little bit. Oh, too lean. Go 22%. There we go. That'll get our fuel utilization down a little bit. And we're at cruising altitude, so we don't need to be full rich. As you can see, we're still getting great speed on a fairly lean mix. And we're getting 2590 RPMs. Ooh, I'm getting 2600 RPM. Sometimes adjusting the mixture can be a bit troublesome in flight when you're using the mouse to do it, simply by virtue of the fact that the aircraft moves. And when the aircraft moves, it can be rather difficult to work the knobs and the levers and all that fun shit. Let's go ahead and resync the heading bug. You'll notice our heading is off of our course. That would be because we're going to go PFD, wind 3. We're dealing with a crosswind, 18 knots trying to blow us off course. So we're having to adjust our course accordingly in order to keep ourselves on track. Thankfully, the navigation system is able to handle that for us. Otherwise, this would be annoying as fuckballs. And yes, I'm actually adjusting the radio stack using the radio stack tool in Pilot to ATC. Again, for the stated reasons of working the knobs and buttons and Microsoft Flight Simulator can be a bitch because the aircraft likes to bounce. We're keeping a good clean 6,000 feet though. We're not bobbing up and down very much. That's nice. Maneuvering speed is at 105 KIAS, but I'm going on a straight flight, so I really don't need to worry about that. But I can dial back my throttle a bit because, well, we're about halfway to Fort Wayne, so I can kind of open the throttle up, and because we're on a straight flight until we get to Fort Wayne, that's when we start turning toward WGNER, making our way toward Indianapolis approach. We are 48.8 nautical miles from our next target, bearing 174. Good flight, good flight. Let's go ahead and head back into Sky Vector and bring up the approach plates. For RNAV, 23 right Yankee. So we're 5,000 at racing. Let's go ahead and head into our flight plan. Alright, so it's not going to let me enter it, which is fine, So we'll head back to this view. Alright. C-card, it's going to be 2600. DRVVR at 4,000, racing at 5. Yeah, the last time Twitch saw me, I was an air traffic controller, now I'm a pilot. Yeah, I have a very eclectic taste in simulations. Deal with it. For those of you watching on the YubTubs, you can feel free to start fast forwarding at this time until we get to Fort Wayne, because there's not going to be a whole hell of a lot of shit going on until we actually get to the Fort Wayne point, at which point we'll do a course adjustment heading toward Muncie for the MIE waypoint as we may get ready for Indianapolis approach. I am not doing an ILS because I don't know enough about ILS to do an ILS. So I'm doing an RNAV landing on the runway in Indianapolis. Got a problem with that? Sue me. Yeah, I've got all the pilot to ATC stuff up on another screen.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 10 o'clock, 10 miles F1, 1,300 feet.
Cleveland Center, traffic not in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Yeah, I can't see that fucker. Then again, he's way the fuck down there at my 10 o'clock position. And I am at 6,000 feet. So we are nowhere near each other, and as a result, I don't really care about him. Sorry, no, he's at 11,300. So he is twice my altitude. Oh, nope, there he is. Cleveland Center, traffic is in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, this is Cleveland Center on 120.45. Please repeat your request.
Cleveland Center, traffic is in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Alright, we'll just keep going. Making our way to our way, but we're getting a little bit of turbulence, which is to be expected. It's a beautiful day to fly, though. Little puffy clouds here and there. You can see all the lakes here in the Midwest, here in the Great Lakes region. The scans up here are pretty shit, though, I must say. And we are now crossing the Michigan-Indiana border. Well, no, sorry, we crossed it about 5 or 10 minutes ago, looks like. It's kind of hard to tell on the map in the airplane, but when I looked up at Pilot to ATC, it looks like we crossed that border a fucking minute ago. I wish the fan didn't fuck with the ATC, because without that fan, it gets pretty fucking hot in here pretty fucking quickly. I'm actually surprised that I'm not seeing any drop frames. I'm not seeing any issues with the frame rate of the game or the recording. And I'm just rocking a 1070. I'm running the game at pretty high settings, too. So I am pleasantly surprised at how well this whole setup is running. No, let me try something here. Let's try turning the fan on low here, seeing if Cleveland Center can recognize me. Cleveland Center, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima at 6,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima radar contact. Altimeter 3011.
Altimeter 3011, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact Chicago Center on 127.55. Have a good one.
Chicago Center on 27.55, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima Center frequency is 127.55.
So we're gonna go 12755 for Chicago Center. Transfer frequency. Chicago Center, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima at 6,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good afternoon. Radar contact. Climb and maintain 6,000 feet.
Climb and maintain 6,000 feet, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, expedite climb to 6,000 feet.
So they gave me a Barrow, and apparently the game wasn't very happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and dial back to standard pressure. Don't know why they gave me a pressure if the Pilot ATC isn't going to recognize it, but fuck, whatever. We'll just change back to 2992, and we'll go ahead and go back up to 2992's interpretation of 6,000 feet, because barometric pressures are a cunt. Alright, we are getting relatively close to Fort Wayne, so we're making good progress on the flight here. Hopefully the bitch doesn't crash, because one time I tried to make this flight, bitch crashed mid-flight. I never even made it to Fort Wayne, bitch just crashed. Straight to desktop. So hopefully that shit doesn't happen. I'm going at 120 knots. Go ahead and tweak my throttle to keep me from going any faster. It looks like I'm at a good balance of throttle, so I can get my hand off that. And at the moment, my hands are literally completely off the controls. Oh, I can dial my throttle back just a touch. I'm getting 19 knots, crosswind at 297 degrees. Wind is 298 at 19 knots. Yeah, half of IFR flying like this is just tweaking your throttle to keep your speed under control, keeping an eye on your instruments, keeping an eye on your gauges. That's half of IFR flying. Trying to dial in my fucking RPMs, but the fuel flow is way too fucking sensitive to let me do that. Which is fine. Which is fine.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, expect the Clang 7 arrival with the FWA transition for the RNAV approach to runway 23 right with the Clang transition at Indianapolis International.
Expect the Clang 7 arrival with the FWA transition to the RNAV approach to runway 23 right with the Clang transition. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Aircraft calling center, say again with your call sign.
Expect the Clang 7 arrival with the FWA transition for the RNAV approach to runway 23 right with the Clang transition. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Looking at the flight plan on the computer and on the software, and they look like they line up, so that's good. That means I inputted my flight plan properly. Because if you try to follow the flight plans that MS Flight Simulator generates, they are not going to match what you get from SimBrief. They're not going to match what you get from almost any route planning tool that you'll use to import into Pilot ATC. And as a result, if you try to follow that, you're going to be going in such the wrong direction that Pilot ATC won't have any fucking idea what the hell is going on. And as a result, you will not be going in the right direction, and the ATC will constantly be squawking at you to change your vectors. Basically, you're going to be manually flying that motherfucker. Yeah, that's not going to fly.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 11 o'clock 10 miles at 3,500 feet.
11 o'clock low.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 10 o'clock 10 miles at 5,500 feet.
And almost at level. Chicago Center, traffic is not in sight. Skyhawk 27 Delta Lima. Chicago Center, traffic is not in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. That little ding is a sound that I programmed Pilot to ATC to make when it recognizes, and I'm not going to get any kind of feedback, so that I know for a fact that the software recognized what I was saying. Otherwise, you're just going to have to look over at the screen and hope for the best. Oh, there's the traffic. I see him down there. But they're far enough away that I don't particularly care too much. Because they're 10 miles out. I am probably not going to hit them. Chat is still empty. To be expected, really. I have no subs, I have no
Hawk 2
followers.
Delta Lima, you have traffic at 11 o'clock 10 miles at 3,600 feet.
Chicago Center, traffic is in sight. Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. That's the guy we see down here in the distance. That's that little fucker.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 11 o'clock 10 miles at 2,000 feet.
Wow, this is a busy airspace. Chicago Center, traffic in sight. Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima.
2 Delta Lima, this is Chicago Center on 127.55. Please repeat your request.
Chicago Center, traffic in sight. Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. Yeah, I'm using Skyhawk as my call sign because that's what I tend to fly. I tend to fly Cessna 172s with the G1000. Sometimes I'll do the steam gauge 172 for funsies when I'm just doing a casual non-IFR flight and I'm just fucking around. Alright, we are approaching Fort Wayne, so I'm going to go ahead and drop my speed a little bit. Because I need to be, my maneuvering speed is at 105, and I'm going too fast for maneuvers. So let's go ahead and get my speed down to 105. Get my throttle back into position, drop it a little higher. Alright, that should put me at right around 105. Good. So I'm ready for the maneuvers I'm getting ready to make here in about 5 minutes or so as I make my turn toward my approach. Because I'm going to be going to the Clang 7 approach via Muncie. That'll take me basically right into the runway without a whole lot of fucking around.
Delta Lima, you have traffic at 10 o'clock 9 miles at 3,100 feet.
Chicago Center, traffic in sight. Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. It's nice how the how Pilot to ATC is able to pick up on the AI flight traffic. Definitely makes the ATC chatter more realistic. I could add ATC chatters for other planes to the software. I just haven't figured out how to do it yet. This is actually my first full flight with this software. So I'm still trying to figure out how to make it work. I'm actually on the trial period. I'm really considering buying it. It's like $60, but it definitely enhances the the flight simming experience by giving you a proper air traffic control, because the in-game air traffic control is absolute garbage. Just complete and total rubbish. We're good. No frames dropped. The CPU doesn't even seem to give a shit. I'm getting 6 megabits per second in terms of my what the fuck's that called? My bit rate. My bit rate's over 6 megabits per second, so I'm getting really, really good good quality there. We are over the city of Fort Wayne at this point. And yep, certainly there is the city of Fort Wayne, and there's Smith Field. It's a little tiny airfield in Fort Wayne. Never landed at it myself in the sim, but you know, it's basically just a municipal airport for the Fort Wayne area. Standard 2-runway municipal airfield. There's Fort Wayne International down in front of us. We'll go ahead and look up over our column. Yep, there's Fort Wayne International. That's a proper international airport, servicing all of Northeast Indiana and Northwest Ohio, actually, because Fort Wayne is actually basically straddling the border between Indiana and Ohio. So the people in northwestern Ohio, if they need an international flight, will end up flying likely out of either Fort Wayne or Toledo, maybe even Detroit if they need to if the flight they need is not coming out of either Fort Wayne or Toledo. We are definitely good. It's getting a little bit bumpy over Indiana today. We are about to begin our maneuver toward WGNER via Clang 7. Probably just about another minute and a half for that. We are at 599.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima descend via the CLANG 7 arrival with the FWA transition to 5,000 feet altimeter 3018 at Indianapolis International.
Descend via the Clang 7 arrival with the FWA transition to 5,000 feet, altimeter 3018, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. So we're going to go ahead and adjust our altitude to 5,000 feet. We're going to do flight level change. We're going to drop our we'll go ahead and kill our throttle, which will get us going down. Get our throttle back up a little bit because we were descending fairly rapidly.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 1 o'clock 10 miles at 4,900 feet.
Chicago Center, traffic not in sight, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. We got a good rate of descent, about 500 feet per minute. Go ahead and kill throttle back a little bit more. We're maintaining 96 knots in the flight level change. We've made our maneuver. We're now heading at 206, heading toward the WGNER waypoint.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 10 miles at 4,600 feet.
Chicago Center, traffic not in sight, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. I can't see him. And if I can't see him, I don't really care about him. We're at 5-2. 5-1. We're approaching 5,000 feet. Yep, looking at pilot to ATC, it still wants me at 29 or 9 or 2.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 5 miles at 4,400 feet.
Chicago Center, traffic not in sight, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. I can't see him. And he's 300 feet below me at 4 miles, I think they said it was. Yeah, 5 miles at just under me. Means he's probably underneath my dashboard, which is probably why I can't fucking see him. We've been live for 1 hour, 10 minutes. I'm recording to a giant fucking hard drive, so I don't have to worry about running out of space. But this file is going to be an absolute bitch to upload because it's going to be huge. Let's go ahead and get my speed up a little bit. I was rocking throttle at 50%. We'll go ahead to 2200 RPMs. Going at about 90 knots or so. Got plenty of gas. We are bouncing around a little bit. That crosswind has turned to 276, 278, so it's blowing straight across my nose. So yeah, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Alright, we're approaching the WGNER waypoint. We're about 4 minutes 45 out. We're about 90 nautical miles from our final destination. It's estimating about 55 minutes or so to landing in Indianapolis. We are holding at 5,000 feet, altimeter 299er2, transponder 6165. I'm going to go ahead and reconfirm with Chicago Center. Chicago Center, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 5,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima radar contact. Altimeter 3015.
Altimeter 3015, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. But I'm looking at the pilot to ATC software, and it still tells me 299er2. Because if I change that, it's going to start bitching at me that I'm too low. Not sure what the fuck's going on there, but let's try 1.5. See if the software starts bitching at me. Because I went ahead and I changed something up at the very top here to see if maybe that's what the issue was, is that it wasn't expecting a proper altimeter reading inside of Pilot ATC. Once I get down to altitude, I'll check in with Chicago Center again and see if that corrected that problem. Chicago Center, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 5,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Yep, that did it. Yep, that was the problem. That was the fucking problem. I needed to change it up at the top in Pilot ATC manually in order for it to recognize the proper pressure. Okay, good to know for the future. As I said, this is my first full flight with this software, so I'm not a master at it yet. Get a little bit more speed here. Pretty much a straight flight to Muncie, and that's when we begin our approach as we head toward Pensklang, Todd, Racine, DRVVR, Seacard, and then straight down into the runway. Let me bring up my approach plate again here, and Racine is where I'm going to want to be at 5,000 feet, which is where I already am, and then I want to descend to 4,000 by DRVVR. But that's still a little bit out. We're about 1 minute out from our next waypoint. We'll do a minor course adjustment, which is, very minor, maybe 1 degree course adjustment as we make our way toward the MIE waypoint, at which point we will make a major course adjustment by about 35 or 40 degrees. As we start making our way into the approach pattern. And I'm looking at the G1000 map, comparing it to the pilot to ATC map, and everything is green. Green all round. Excellent, excellent. I am happy as a fucking clam. I'm not gonna tune the Indianapolis approach into my comm radio yet, simply by virtue of I don't know if they're going to hand me off to Indianapolis Center first, or if I'm going to be controlled by Chicago Center through to the handoff. So I'm just not going to fuck with the comm radios until I get a little bit closer, and whatever center I'm on tells me to contact approach or tower. Alright, we are now on the MIE waypoint. We're about 17 minutes 45 out from that waypoint. Yep, and it was like a 1 degree course alteration because we were basically on course from Fort Wayne through Wagner to Mie. Going 100 knots. Wind is 266 at 17 knots. Which means I'm probably going to have a tailwind as I go into Indianapolis. That's fine. I can deal with a tailwind. Moderately annoying, but no more than that. My fuel is looking good. 2270 RPM, looking good. My fuel flow is looking good. Everything is looking fabulous. Excellent. Had to mute y'all for a second while I yawned a little bit. We are looking golden all around. This is a clean flight. Clean flight. I am fucking happy. Let's go ahead and sync our heading bug real quick. Just for the sake of standard process, making sure that if need be we can flip off nav to heading and start vectoring in if we have to, if shit goes pear-shaped. I don't expect it to, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. There we go. Just wanted to see just my craft and the next waypoint. Just taking another look at the Indianapolis 23 right RNAV approach plate, just making sure I've got all my duckies in a row. Actually, I'm partially doing the pilot to ATC thing as practice for potentially eventually getting on VATSIM. And if you're going to fly on VATSIM, you have to know your shit. If you don't know your shit, VATSIM will fucking eat you alive. And then probably ban you. Because VATSIM is definitely about realism. And if you can't maintain that realism, VATSIM is not going to want you on their network. Give it a little more throttle because we're kind of struggling a little bit to maintain level flight. That would be why, because the wind shifted to 319. And it's bouncing us around quite badly. We are about 10 minutes 45 out from waypoint MIE. Stream length is 121.55. No drop frames. Still a good clean 6 megabits per second on my bitrate. This is looking really good for any potential future recordings in this sim. Of course, I'm gonna have to watch back later once I get it uploaded just to double and triple validate everything, but other than that, it's looking pretty good. If you look at our G1000, you'll see that this is a pretty busy airspace. We've got 6 aircraft on local radar, it looks like. Good clean day. It is 10 past 5. This flight looks like it'll be finished at about 5:45 or 6 o'clock, give or take, which is perfectly acceptable. I was able to get my fan going again, and it looks like Center is able to understand me, so hey, I'm not boiling my dick off, so I'm happy enough. Let's go ahead and sync the heading bug. And once I get to racing is probably when I'm going to disable the autopilot. That's going to be when I'm heading into my glide slope. We're a good bit out from racing though, so. Yeah, racing and DRVVR is where I'm capturing my glide slope. Seacurt is my decision point, go, no, go. If I can't see the airfield, I abort and go around for a missed approach.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact Indianapolis.
That's what I thought.
120.65. Have a good evening.
Contact Indianapolis Center on 120.65. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. And that's going to be 120.65. Indianapolis Center, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 5,000 feet. Indianapolis Center, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 5,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good evening. Radar contact. Altimeter 3016.
Altimeter 3016, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 9 o'clock 10 miles at 3,900 feet.
Indianapolis Center. Traffic not in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. We're coming up on the Mie waypoint, which will allow us to make a heavy turn as we head toward Indianapolis. We are tuned to Indianapolis Center, which means I should probably set my secondary frequency to Indianapolis approach at 128.175. There we go. I've got Indianapolis approach tuned into my secondary for the inevitable handoff to approach as we begin landing. And that handoff is pretty inevitable because I have to contact approach before I contact tower, if I remember correctly. I am not a professional pilot. I am barely an avid simmer. I am basically a guy fucking around in an airplane. Yes, that is a frightening thought. Someone fucking around in an airplane. Which is why I'm doing it in a simulator and not hijacking an aircraft. Don't get me wrong. If I get good enough in this sim, I might kind of consider going out for my PPL. Might, as time and money allow. Which, for the most part, they don't. So, yeah, the odds of Shadow having a pilot's license are quite low. Unless I win the lottery. Then that's a lot more likely. Because I'll have all the fucking time in the world because I won't have to work anymore. Got good speed, ready for the maneuver at Mie, heading toward Pens. And I have yet to have ATC bitch at me for being off course, which means I've had this bitch programmed pretty well. Delaware County Regional Airport. Yep, there's that airfield. Little regional airport. Right inside of Muncie. Servicing the Muncie area. Good for people taking little puddle jumper flights to try to get to Indianapolis, but they don't want to land at in Indianapolis proper because, say, they're going to somewhere like Carmel in the north. Landing in Muncie is actually a lot more practical as far as traffic is concerned, because if you land at KIND heading toward Carmel, you have to deal with all of the downtown traffic, and that's no fun. As someone who used to live in Indianapolis, let me tell you, that's not fun. And because I'm on an IFR flight plan, I don't have to worry about transitions because they know I'm coming and they know I'm here. I have a filed flight plan after all. We are 1 minute 40 seconds out from waypoint Mie. We've got about 28 minutes left in the flight, according to the software. I won't have to worry once I do end up getting on VATSIM about the ATC not fucking understanding me, because I don't have to worry about a text-to-speech engine trying to translate what I'm saying. It'll actually be a person, and they're more likely to understand what the fuck I'm saying even if I mess something up. I've still got plenty of fuel, and I'm close enough to my destination that I don't have to worry about that anymore. This is a 172, so there's going to be no flaps in landing unless I'm doing a short runway. And we're doing our turn at the Mie waypoint. And we are heading on to Pens in the Clang 7 transition. Alright, then we'll go ahead and sync the heading bug. And we are heading toward Pens. Checking my computer. Yep, just like normal when I'm doing a long flight sim session, it's turned into a bit of a space heater under there. Because this is like the one game that I have that makes my 1070 work for a living. The rest of the stuff I have tends to be rather CPU bound. I tend to play a lot of Stellaris, RimWorld, Endless Space 2, when I'm not running randomizers in an emulator anyway. My computer barely notices that fucking emulator is there. For anyone wondering about my rig, it is a Ryzen 9 3900X 12-core CPU running a GTX 1070 GPU with 32 gigabytes of DDR4 RAM running at, I believe it's 3200 megahertz. It's a very able machine. I love it to death. Let's go ahead and tune my nav radio.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact Indianapolis Center on 119.55. Have a good one.
Center on 119.55, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. So we'll go 11950. Oh, 11955. Indianapolis Center, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 5,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good evening. Radar contact.
That's what I get for trying to get ahead, because they handed me off to center at 119.55, and I lost my pre-program. And over there... is Anderson Mundarling. That's Anderson Municipal Airport in Darlington. It's another little municipal airfield. Haven't used it. Might at some point. Don't know. Can never plan what I'll do in the future. But once I stop sucking at flight sim, I do eventually plan to do something like on air. A little more seriously than I have. I've basically just been kind of poking at it a little bit. Just seeing how it works, not actually running a campaign or anything in it. It's kind of like what I'm doing now with Pilot to ATC, kind of poking at it to see how it works. Alright, let me check my... I'm going to have a bit of a long taxi, probably along Alpha, because GA parking at Indianapolis is way on the other side of 2-3. As I head toward DRVVR, I'll descend to 4,000, and from DRVR into Seacurt, I'll be descending through 2,600. It's a bit hazy, but I should be able to see the airfield once I get there. While that figures out, I will center on aircraft. There we go, zooming in my Pilot to ATC map to make sure everything is working properly. Better to be safe than to be sorry. Let's see. So I'm going to go ahead and tune my nav radio to 11175. Which is the ILS for my destined runway. Just me giving myself some backup here. There is nothing against the rules about picking up an ILS frequency for an RNAV approach. Nothing against the rules on that at all. There we go. Set bearing 1 to nav 1, and that will pick up my ILS receiver when I get close enough. I'm only picking up the ILS as a kind of a failsafe to make sure I'm lining up correctly, because I'm fucking paranoid. Very, very fucking paranoid. Elevation is at...
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima contact Indianapolis approach on 128.17, have a good evening. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima altimeter 3017 cleared for the RNAV approach to runway 23 right with the Clang transition at Indianapolis International contact approach on 128.17, good evening.
Altimeter 3017 cleared for RNAV approach to runway 23 right with the Clang transition at Indianapolis International. Contact approach on 128.17. Good evening.
Aircraft calling center, say again with your call sign.
Indianapolis approach, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima at 5,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good evening. Radar contact.
We are approaching Clang. We're about 5 minutes out. About 20 minutes left in the flight. All stats are completely green across the board as far as the stream and the recording are concerned. Titties. And behind us is the city of Anderson. Not a big city, but a city nonetheless. Pat Robinson Airfield. At least I believe that's an airfield. Sometimes my memory serves me poorly. Let's hop outside the aircraft real quick. Yeah, I think that's an airfield. Head back into the cockpit. We still haven't picked up the localizer. Was it 3017? So 179 or 6 will be 1,000 feet above the airfield because the elevation of the airfield that says 796 feet. Once again, dead silence, but that's perfectly acceptable because I don't have a community for the most part. I got a handful of subscribers on the YubTubs, but If I grow, I grow. I don't, I don't. I had no intention when I started recording of making this a career. This is just something for me to do in my spare time. I was going to fly this flight anyway, so there's no reason for me not to record and or stream it. None whatsoever. This video is going to take fucking forever to upload to YouTube, though. It's going to be like a 2-hour video. Everything is green. Good, good, good. There we go. We picked up the localizer. We are in range of the airport. Because we picked up the 2-3 right ILS localizer. So this flight is almost over. Hey, soon you get to see the shit show of Shadow trying to land an airplane. I don't think I'll crash. I haven't crashed on landing in a very long time, but if I crash, that'll just be entertainment for y'all. Because I know Schadenfreude is a thing, especially on YouTube. Yeah, as you can tell the localizer because we picked it up right here. We are 25.6 nautical miles, and as you can see, it also shows up on my compass because I've got the bearing set up. Bearing that way is for the runway, but I am not on that section of my approach yet, so I can't match up. I can't line up that bearing because I'm not on that part of my approach. Here we go.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima descent via the Clang transition to 5,000 feet.
Descend to 5,000 feet via the Clang transition. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima maintain 4,000 feet.
Maintain 4,000 feet. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Alright, so they want me to go down to 4,000. And we'll go flight level change. Kill the throttle. Which will get us to nose down. Which is interesting, it wants me at 4,000 when the racing waypoint on the approach plate specifically says 5,000 feet. But I am not going to argue with air traffic control. I have nothing to gain from arguing with an automated air traffic control. Indianapolis Metropolitan. We are on a 5-mile final. No, we're not. I think that might mean the Indianapolis metropolitan area. Because I am way more than 5 miles from the airport. I'm about 20 miles out. Get some speed. Get us back up to 100 knots. Oh, and my glide slope indicator just kicked in. Bring up my approach plate. It wanted me at 5 through racing, but it wanted me to descend to 4. So I'll be at 4 through racing to DRVVR, it looks like, which is fine. Go ahead and sync the heading bug. Because I have the ILS tuned, it was able to give me my glide slope indicator. We are heading toward Racine. We are over the Indianapolis metropolitan area.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 11 o'clock 10 miles at 4,800 feet.
Indianapolis approach. Traffic not in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. I don't see him. I don't see him at all. Adjust my zoom. Turn on my landing lights.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 11 o'clock 10 miles at 2,000 feet.
Indianapolis approach. Traffic not in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. I don't see him.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 10 miles at 1,000 feet.
Indianapolis approach. Traffic not in sight. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. The airfield is in sight. You can see the approach lights there. We are approaching
Skyhawk 2
Racine.
Delta Lima, altimeter 3017 at Indianapolis International Contact Tower on 120.9er. Enjoy your evening.
Altimeter 3017, tower on 120.9er, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima.
Aircraft calling approach, say again with your call sign.
120.9er. Indianapolis Tower, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima at 4,000 feet.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, good evening. Radar contact. Continue RNAV to runway 23 right, call when established on final. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 10 miles at 1,000 feet.
Indianapolis Tower, traffic not in sight, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. I'm heading to DRVVR, and once I'm at DRVVR, I need to descend toward 2,600 feet. Indianapolis Tower, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima on 10-mile final.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 10 miles at 1,000 feet.
Indianapolis Tower, traffic not in sight, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, winds are 265 at 15 knots, cleared to land runway 23 right.
Let's go flight level change. Cleared to land runway 23 right, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. Cleared to land runway 23 right, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. Let's go. Kill my throttle. Start our descent to 2,600 for the secured point. And yes, I am looking at my approach plate. We're definitely going to be a go on our landing. My glide slope indicator is coming up. I need to expedite my descent.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 9 miles at 1,000 feet.
Indianapolis Tower, traffic not in sight, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. My fucking throttle had come unsynced. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Nav off, nav off. Heading mode, heading mode. Heading mode. Get me back on fucking track here. Man, my autopilot just tried to fucking kill me. And it full throttled for some reason.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, you have traffic at 12 o'clock 6 miles at 1,000 feet.
Indianapolis Tower, traffic in sight, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima. And we're going to go ahead and turn off the altitude hold. Start pitching down. What the fuck is this thing doing? Autopilot off. Apparently my aircraft decided it wants to kill me today. Yeah, what the hell? This thing is pitching me up aggressively. What the fuck? My controls just decided to shit themselves. I can recover this. I can recover from my fucking autopilot trying to murder me. Hey, I got back on my final.
500. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima exit runway when able.
Oh crap.
Skyhawk 2 Delta
I
Lima,
bounced.
you have traffic at 9 o'clock 10 miles at 3,100 feet.
I bounced. That was not a graceful landing. Go and stop. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima clear of active.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, welcome to Indianapolis International Contact Ground on 121.8. Good day.
Ground on 121.8. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Ground on 121.8. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Indianapolis ground. Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Request taxi to general aviation parking.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima taxi to general aviation parking via taxiways Alpha 5, Alpha, Mike, hold short runway 14.
Taxi to general aviation parking via taxiway Alpha 5, Alpha Mike. Hold short runway 14, Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima. Alright, so I'm going to go straight ahead, take a right onto Alpha, hold short of the runway until I'm given instructions, and then take the next right onto Mike into GA parking. Okay. Turn off my parking brake, get my throttle up. For some reason, my throttle has reversed itself. So that going forward turns it off and coming back turns it up. I'm not sure how the fuck that happened mid-flight. I must have hit something unintentionally. Oh well. I bounced, but I landed. And as the saying goes, any landing you walk away from. And that fucking Cessna just spawned in front of me. I didn't do too bad for someone whose controller was trying to kill him. Oh, I see what happened. I accidentally hit mapping mode, I think. Yep. Yep, I accidentally hit a preset button by mistake. I am speeding on the taxiway. Well, at least my controls are now acting like they're fucking supposed to. Hey, I managed to land in spite of my controls trying to murder me. And I said it when we were en route that it was going to be a long fucking taxi because GA parking is from the other end of the airport, from the end of the runways where you land, so it's a long fucking taxi. Alright, we are approaching the runway. Indianapolis ground, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima, holding short of runway 14.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima, this is Indy ground on 121.8, please repeat your request.
Indianapolis ground, Skyhawk 2, Delta Lima, holding short, runway 14 to cross.
Skyhawk 2 Delta Lima cleared to cross runway 14.
Alright, we're cleared to cross. And actually, this would be a perfect position if I wanted to try an unauthorized takeoff, because this literally puts me right at the end of runway 14, and runway 14 is short enough is long enough for this aircraft to take off. Without any difficulty, I could take off of 14. There's GA parking. Taxiing to parking is kind of a fiddly process. Parking brake on. Lights off. Pitot off. Engine off. Avionics off. All right. We have landed and we are now at Indianapolis International Airport. When you're using an external ATC, sometimes the flight end doesn't exactly work correctly. But fuck it, we made it. Thank you for coming along with me on this little trip. Thank you for helping me to test my setup for recording and streaming Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and for listening to my test of the Pilot ATC software. As always, this has been Shadow the Impure signing off. Thank you very much for coming along with me, and have yourselves a great day.